What if everything you know about human history is a lie? Imagine this. 445,000 years ago, beings from a distant planet called Nibiru descended to Earth, not as gods, but as architects of our very existence. These Anunnaki, as the ancient Sumerians called them, engineered humanity to mine gold for their dying world, shaping our DNA and planting the seeds of civilization. But what if their legacy pyramids, star maps, and forbidden texts was buried by those who control the narrative? What if the bones of giants, the Nephilim, discovered in hidden caves from Afghanistan to the Grand Canyon, were locked away to keep us in the dark? And what if a map, drawn in 1513, reveals an ice-free Antarctica, known only to an ancient intelligence that mapped Earth from the stars? These are not mere stories, they are questions that demand answers, questions that could unravel the truth about who we are and where we came from. Tonight, we dive into the shadows of history, where secrets whisper of a past too extraordinary to be taught in schools. Will you dare to follow? The Sumerians, the earliest known civilization, left behind clay tablets that tell a story far stranger than any textbook. Around 10,000 years before Christ, in the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia, they emerged with writing, mathematics, and a lunar calendar advancements that appeared almost overnight. Their texts speak of the Anunnaki, celestial beings from Nibiru, a planet said to orbit our solar system every 3,600 years. These beings, towering and powerful, came to Earth in search of gold, a metal crucial to repairing their planet's atmosphere, ravaged by cosmic forces. The tablets claim they created Homo sapiens, a hybrid of their own DNA and primitive humans, to labor in gold mines. This is not myth, but a narrative etched in cuneiform, preserved for millennia. Why, then, is this story absent from our history books? Is it because the truth threatens the foundations of power? Consider the Piri Reis map, a relic from 1513, discovered in the 20th century. This map, drawn by a Turkish admiral, shows Antarctica's coastline with chilling precision centuries before its official discovery. More astonishing, it depicts the continent free of ice, a state not seen for over 10,000 years. How could a 16th century cartographer possess such knowledge? Some argue Piri Reis accessed ancient charts, perhaps from a lost civilization or extraterrestrial visitors who surveyed Earth from above. The map's accuracy, including details of South America and the Atlantic, defies the technology of its time, hinting at a hidden intelligence that predates our understanding of history. Could this be evidence of the Anunnaki's influence? Or something even more profound? Across cultures, whispers of celestial intervention echo. The Dogon tribe of Mali, isolated from modern science, knew of Sirius B, an invisible star, long before telescopes confirmed its existence in the 19th century. Their legends speak of star beings who shared cosmic knowledge, eerily similar to the Sumerian Anunnaki. In Egypt, the god Thoth, scribe of wisdom, taught humanity writing and astronomy, while Greek myths tell of Prometheus gifting fire. These stories, spanning continents, suggest a shared origin, a moment when beings from beyond ignited the spark of civilization. But why are these accounts dismissed as folklore? What are we not being told? Then there are the giants, the Nephilim of ancient texts. The Book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, describes these beings as the offspring of celestial watchers and human women. Towering and fearsome, they roamed the earth, their bones reportedly unearthed in places like Mount Carmel in Israel and Giza in Egypt. Yet, these discoveries vanish from public view, locked away in vaults or dismissed as animal remains. In 1519, explorer Ferdinand Magellan encountered giants in Patagonia, so tall that his crew barely reached their waists. In 2002, a United States military squad in Afghanistan allegedly faced a 13-foot, red-haired humanoid, its existence swiftly classified. Are these cover-ups meant to protect a sanitized history, one that denies our cosmic origins? The question of who controls our past looms large. Some point to powerful families, like the Rothschilds, whose influence over global institutions is said to trace back to ancient bloodlines, perhaps even those touched by the Anunnaki. While speculative, such theories highlight a pattern. History is shaped by those in power, who decide what is remembered and what is erased. Texts like the Book of Enoch, excluded from the Bible, and artifacts like the Piri race map, ignored by mainstream scholars, suggest a deliberate effort to obscure truths that challenge authority. Even today, images from Mars pyramids and ruins captured by rovers are dismissed as natural formations. Is this skepticism, or a refusal to face the possibility that our solar system holds secrets of extraterrestrial contact? As we stand on the edge of this mystery, the questions grow louder. Who were the Anunnaki, and will they return when Nibiru nears Earth again? Why do ancient texts and modern discoveries point to a history far stranger than we are taught? And what lies hidden in the archives of governments and institutions, waiting to be uncovered? These are not answers I can give, but questions to carry with you as we journey through this episode. The truth may lie in the shadows, in the stories of giants, star maps, and gods who walked among us. I am Mr. H, your guide through the enigma of our past, and this is Mystery History for Sleep. If you find these mysteries as captivating as I do, consider subscribing to our channel and ringing the notification bell to join us for more journeys into the unknown. Let us continue as we unravel the secrets of humanity's hidden history, and perhaps, as you drift into sleep, you will dream of the truths waiting to be discovered. What if the gods of ancient Sumer were not divine beings born of myth, but extraterrestrial visitors from a rogue planet hurtling through our solar system? What if these Anunnaki, revered as creators and rulers, engineered humanity not out of benevolence, but as a workforce to extract a precious resource that could save their world? And what if their story, etched in clay tablets millennia ago, holds the key to understanding why modern science echoes their ancient pursuits? These questions strike at the heart of our origins, challenging us to reconsider whether the Anunnaki were gods or something far more alien. As we delve into this enigma, the lines between legend and reality blur, inviting us to explore a narrative that has captivated seekers of truth for generations. The tale of the Anunnaki begins in the cradle of civilization, the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians flourished over 5,000 years ago. According to their ancient texts, preserved on clay tablets unearthed in the 19th and 20th centuries, the Anunnaki were a pantheon of powerful entities who descended from the heavens. The word Anunnaki itself means those who came from heaven to earth, a phrase that resonates with profound implications. In the earliest Sumerian writings, dating back to the 3rd millennium before Christ, these beings are depicted as deities who shaped the world, oversaw fate, and intervened in human affairs. They were led by figures like Anu, the sky god, Enlil, the lord of the air, and Enki, the god of wisdom and water. But it was Zecharia Sitchin, a pioneering researcher born in 1920 and passing in 2010, who brought a revolutionary interpretation to these texts. Sitchin, through his Earth Chronicles series beginning with the 12th planet in 1976, proposed that the Anunnaki were not mere mythological gods, but ancient astronauts from a distant planet called Nibiru. Sitchin's theories, drawn from his translations of Sumerian cuneiform tablets, paint a vivid picture of cosmic drama. Approximately 445,000 years ago, he argued, the Anunnaki arrived on Earth from Nibiru, a massive planet with an elongated orbit that brings it into our solar system every 3,600 years. Nibiru, described as a reddish world rich in iron oxide, faced a catastrophic environmental crisis. Its atmosphere was depleting, threatened by solar radiation and internal upheavals. To stabilize it, the Anunnaki needed gold, a metal with unparalleled conductive and reflective properties. Gold nanoparticles, as modern science confirms, can repair ozone layers and act as radiation shields, a fact mirrored in the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's use of gold foil on spacecraft to protect against cosmic rays. The Anunnaki established mining operations on Earth, particularly in southern Africa, where ancient gold mines dating back over 100,000 years have been discovered, their age and sophistication baffling archaeologists. Initially, the Anunnaki employed a subordinate race called the Igigi to toil in these mines, but rebellion brewed among them after centuries of grueling labor. The tablets describe how the Igigi, exhausted and outnumbered, rose against their masters, leading to a brutal suppression that nearly wiped them out. Faced with a labor shortage, Enki, the scientific genius among the Anunnaki, proposed a radical solution: genetically engineer a new species. Drawing from the Book of Genesis parallels and Sumerian myths, Sitchin interpreted this as the creation of Homo sapiens. By blending Anunnaki DNA with that of Homo erectus, the primitive hominids roaming Earth, they fashioned Adamu, the first human, in their image. This hybrid was intelligent enough to operate tools and follow commands, but subservient to their creators. The process, detailed in texts like the Atrahasis epic, involved trial and error, with early experiments producing malformed beings before success was achieved. Critics, including Sumerologists like Michael Heiser, have challenged Sitchin's translations, arguing that the Anunnaki were purely mythological deities representing natural forces, not extraterrestrials. They point out that Sumerian texts portray the Anunnaki as part of a divine hierarchy, with roles in fertility, war, and justice, rather than space travelers. Terms like those who came from heaven may symbolize the stars or the underworld, not literal descent from another planet. Yet, Sitchin's work has endured, inspiring debates and even modern media, because it aligns with anomalies in human evolution. Why did Homo sapiens emerge so suddenly around 200,000 years ago, with advanced cognitive abilities that outpaced natural selection? Genetic studies reveal unexplained jumps in our DNA, including sequences that some speculate could be artificial insertions. The Anunnaki Chronicles, a compilation of Sitchin's research edited by his niece, Janet Sitchin, in 2015, compiles letters, articles, and unpublished insights that reinforce his view of these beings as flesh and blood visitors who accelerated our development. The Anunnaki's influence extended beyond creation. They taught humanity, agriculture, metallurgy, and governance, establishing the first cities like Eridu and Uruk. Enki, often depicted with flowing water symbolizing knowledge, is credited with imparting wisdom that led to the Sumerian advancements in writing the world's first script and mathematics. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest literary works, hints at their longevity and power, with Gilgamesh himself being two-thirds divine, a demigod seeking immortality from his Anunnaki ancestors. But tensions arose. As humans multiplied, interbreeding occurred, producing the Nephilim giants of renown mentioned in Genesis 6. Enlil, fearing overpopulation and rebellion, orchestrated the Great Flood to cleanse the earth, a cataclysm echoed in myths worldwide. Enki, compassionate toward his creations, warned select humans like Ziusudra, the Sumerian Noah, to build arks and preserve life. This narrative finds intriguing parallels in other cultures, suggesting a global influence. The Babylonian Enuma Elish, a creation epic, describes the Anunnaki dividing the heavens and earth, much like the Sumerian accounts. In Hindu texts, the Devas and Asuras mirror these celestial hierarchies, with battles over elixirs that could be metaphors for advanced technology. Even in the Americas, the Maya spoke of sky gods descending to teach, their calendars aligning with cosmic cycles that Sitchin linked to Nibiru's orbit. But perhaps the most compelling connection lies with the Dogon tribe of Mali, West Africa, whose astronomical knowledge has baffled researchers for decades. The Dogon, a people living in cliffside villages, possess an oral tradition that details the Sirius star system with astonishing accuracy. They describe Sirius A, the brightest star in the night sky, as accompanied by Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible to the naked eye, and only discovered by Western astronomers in 1862. The Dogon not only knew of its existence but also its 50-year orbital period, dense composition, heavier than iron, they say, and even a third star, Sirius C, whose existence remains debated. Their legends speak of the Nommo, amphibious beings from Sirius who arrived in a spinning arc, imparting knowledge of the stars, agriculture, and metallurgy. Robert Temple's 1976 book, The Sirius Mystery, popularized this as evidence of ancient alien contact, suggesting the Nommo were extraterrestrial visitors, akin to the Anunnaki. Skeptics, including Carl Sagan, in his 1982 book, UFOs and Outer Space Mysteries, argue that the Dogon learned this from European anthropologists, like Marcel Griaule in the 1930s, who may have inadvertently shared information. Yet, Temple's research, revisited in his 2005 expanded edition, counters that the Dogon's knowledge predates such contacts, rooted in rituals over 1,000 years old. The Nommo are described as fish-like humanoids who brought 8 grains from the stars, transforming the Dogon's arid homeland into fertile land. This echoes Enki's watery domain and the Anunnaki's genetic engineering. Ancient aliens theorists propose a link. Perhaps the Anunnaki, exploring our solar system, visited multiple cultures, or the Nommo were a faction from Nibiru. The Dogon's Sigwi ceremony, held every 60 years to honor Sirius, aligns with orbital cycles, a precision that defies coincidence. Modern science adds layers to this mystery. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Kepler mission has discovered thousands of exoplanets, some in elongated orbits like Nibiru's proposed path. Gold's role in nanotechnology for atmospheric repair mirrors the Anunnaki's quest, while genetic anomalies in human DNA such as the rapid evolution of the FOXP2 gene for language fuel speculation of external intervention. In 2024, archaeological digs in Iraq uncovered more tablets referencing the Anunnaki's celestial origins, reigniting debates. Sitchin's critics accuse him of mistranslating Sumerian words like Anunnaki, princely offspring, and Nibiru, crossing point, but his defenders point to consistencies across myths. As we ponder these revelations, the Anunnaki emerge not as distant deities but as potential architects of our fate. Were they benevolent teachers or exploitative overlords? Did their departure after the flood leave humanity to forge its path? Or do their descendants walk among us? The questions multiply, drawing us deeper into the enigma. By the way, where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it there? Drop a comment to share. It's fascinating to know where these mysteries are resonating around the globe. What if the giants of ancient lore were not mere myths, but living, breathing beings who towered over humanity, their existence etched in stone and whispered across cultures? What if the Nephilim, born of forbidden unions between celestial beings and human women, left footprints literal and figurative that challenged the very foundations of history? Imagine bones unearthed in hidden caves, from the deserts of Afghanistan to the valleys of Israel, only to vanish into the vaults of institutions determined to keep the truth buried. The stories of these colossal figures, from the biblical Goliath to the Sumerian Gilgamesh, echo through time, raising questions that refuse to fade. Were the Nephilim real? And if so, why has their legacy been shrouded in secrecy? The tale of the Nephilim begins in ancient texts, most notably the Book of Enoch, a non-canonical scripture rediscovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946. This ancient manuscript, attributed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, describes a time when celestial beings, known as the Watchers, descended to earth. According to the Book of Enoch, chapter 6, these Watchers, sent to observe humanity, succumbed to desire and took human women as mates. The result was the Nephilim, described as mighty men of old, men of renown, but also as savage giants who plundered the earth and devoured its resources. Genesis 6, verse 4, in the Old Testament, confirms their existence. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These offspring, towering and powerful, were seen as abominations, prompting divine wrath that culminated in the Great Flood to cleanse the world of their corruption. The Book of Enoch paints a vivid picture of these giants, some standing as tall as 300 cubits over 400 feet, though later interpretations suggest more plausible heights of 10 to 30 feet. Their size and strength made them both revered and feared, with tales of their cannibalistic tendencies and battles against humanity. The text recounts how the Watchers taught forbidden knowledge, metallurgy, astronomy, and sorcery, further angering the higher gods, who imprisoned the Watchers beneath the earth and unleashed the flood. Yet, some Nephilim survived, their legacy persisting in the tribes of giants mentioned in the Bible, such as the Anakim, Rephaim, and Emim, who inhabited the lands of Canaan and Moab. These biblical accounts are not isolated. Across cultures, stories of giants abound, suggesting a universal memory of colossal beings. In Greek mythology, The Titans, born of gods and mortals, waged war against the Olympians, their immense forms echoing the Nephilim. Norse sagas speak of frost giants, while Irish legends tell of Finn McCool, who built the Giant's Causeway, a geological marvel of 40,000 interlocking basalt columns stretching toward Scotland. In the Americas, the Inca and Maya spoke of giant ancestors who constructed megalithic structures, their feats defying human capability. Even Marco Polo, in the 13th century, wrote of a race of giants in Zanzibar, capable of carrying loads 4 times that of ordinary men. These accounts, spanning continents and eras, raise the question, are these mere coincidences, or do they point to a shared historical truth? Archaeological findings add fuel to this mystery. In the 1930s, excavations on Mount Carmel in Israel uncovered bones described as belonging to a race of giants, though these artifacts mysteriously disappeared, with attention redirected to Neanderthal remains. In 2001, Howard University archaeologists reportedly unearthed a 6.5-foot skeleton in Giza, Egypt, with an unusually large skull and jawbone, hinting at non-human proportions. Yet, the skull was hidden from academia, and the find was quickly buried literally and figuratively. In South Africa, a 4-foot-long footprint, discovered in 1931 by farmer Stoffel Coetzee, suggests a being 24 to 27 feet tall. Known as the Goliath footprint, it resists explanations of natural erosion, with geologist Peter Wagner arguing its precision points to an intelligent origin. Historical records from the Age of Exploration further amplify the enigma. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan's chronicler, Antonio Pigafetta, described encountering giants in Patagonia, South America, so tall that the tallest Europeans reached only their waists. Pigafetta's account, written for the Spanish crown, details a naked giant dancing and singing on the shore, marveling at the explorers, as if they came from heaven. In 1539, Hernando de Soto, exploring what is now the southeastern United States, reported tribes led by giants, including Chief Tuscaloosa of Alabama, described as towering over all others. Francisco Coronado, searching for El Dorado in the American Southwest, also noted entire tribes of giants, their presence woven into native oral traditions. Bernal Diaz del Castillo, chronicling the conquest of Mexico in the 1620s, recorded Aztec tales of giant men and women, whose bones were as tall as a man, fought and killed for their evil ways. More recently, a chilling account from 2002, shared anonymously on a radio show, describes a United States military squad in Afghanistan encountering a 13-foot, red-haired humanoid in a cave littered with human bones and broken equipment. Weighing an estimated 500 kilograms and clad in animal skins, the creature impaled a soldier before being gunned down. Its body was allegedly airlifted to a secret facility, the incident classified. While unverified, such stories echo ancient fears of cannibalistic giants, raising questions about whether isolated descendants of the Nephilim could still lurk in remote corners of the world. The Tartaria conspiracy, a modern theory gaining traction on platforms like X in 2025, adds another layer. Proponents argue that a vast, advanced empire called Tartaria, spanning Europe and Asia, was erased from history by a global elite. Its neoclassical architecture, grand palaces, and cathedrals may have been built by giants, with their scale and precision defying human technology of the time. The theory suggests that catastrophic mud floods in the 19th century, evidenced by buried building foundations, were orchestrated to destroy Tartarian remnants, with mainstream history rewriting the narrative to attribute these structures to later periods. While dismissed by academics, the theory's popularity reflects a growing distrust in official accounts, mirroring the Nephilim's exclusion from canonical history. Skeptics argue that giant tales are allegorical, with bones often misidentified as those of prehistoric megafauna like mastodons. The Smithsonian Institution, frequently accused of suppressing giant skeletons, maintains that no such cover-up exists, citing rigorous cataloguing. Yet, the absence of physical evidence fuels suspicion, as does the dismissal of texts like the Book of Enoch, which was revered by early Christians but excluded from the Bible by the 4th century. The Gospel of Jude, in the New Testament, quotes Enoch directly, suggesting its influence, yet its tales of giants were deemed too fantastical for the canon. Could this exclusion be a deliberate act to sanitize history, erasing evidence of extraterrestrial or divine intervention? The Nephilim's legacy extends to physical structures. The Baalbek stones in Lebanon, weighing up to 1,242 tons, and the granite boulders of Mount Shoria in Siberia, estimated at 3,000 tons, defy explanation. How were these moved without modern machinery? Some propose that giants, with superhuman strength, were the builders, their labor guided by advanced knowledge from the Watchers or Anunnaki. In Syria, the Ain Dara temple bears 3-foot-long footprints, suggesting a being over 15 feet tall walked its halls. These megaliths, scattered across the globe, stand as silent witnesses to a past where giants may have roamed. Modern parallels deepen the intrigue. In 2024, posts on X speculated about giant skeletons unearthed in Nevada, quickly suppressed by authorities. While unverified, these claims echo earlier reports, like those in 19th century American newspapers, which frequently described heroic skulls and bones found in burial mounds, only to vanish from public record. The Lovelock Cave in Nevada, excavated in 1914, yielded oversized artifacts and bones, though mainstream scholars attribute them to cultural exaggeration. Yet, native Paiute legends speak of red-haired giants, the Site Ka, defeated in battle, their remains hidden in caves. As we sift through these accounts, the Nephilim emerge as more than myth. They are a challenge to our understanding of history. Were they the monstrous offspring of celestial rebels, or a race of advanced beings whose existence threatens modern narratives? Why do stories of giants persist, from ancient Sumer to modern Afghanistan, only to be dismissed or concealed? The answers remain elusive, but the questions compel us to look deeper. What if a hidden manuscript, buried in desert caves for 2,000 years, holds the key to humanity's true origins? What if the Book of Enoch, discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, reveals a history of celestial beings, forbidden unions, and cataclysmic events that the powers of the past sought to erase? Imagine a text so provocative that it was excluded from the Bible, its tales of giants and divine interventions deemed too dangerous for the faithful. The discovery of these ancient scrolls in 1946 shook the foundations of history, raising questions that echo through time. Why was this knowledge hidden, and what secrets does it hold about our cosmic past? In the spring of 1946, in the rugged hills of the West Bank near the ancient settlement of Qumran, a group of Bedouin shepherds tended their flocks. To pass the time, they tossed stones across the rocky terrain, as young shepherds often do. One stone, hurled into the mouth of a cave, produced a startling sound, a loud shattering that echoed within. Driven by curiosity and a touch of fear, the shepherds ventured inside and stumbled upon a collection of large clay jars. Inside these jars lay a treasure beyond their imagination, ancient scrolls, brittle and faded, preserved in the dry desert air. These manuscripts, later known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, numbered nearly 900 and included fragments of texts that had been lost to history for centuries. Among them was the Book of Enoch, a non-canonical scripture that offered a radically different perspective on humanity's beginnings. The Dead Sea Scrolls, unearthed between 1946 and 1956 across 11 caves, are one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century. Written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, they date from the 3rd century before Christ to the 1st century after Christ. They include portions of every book of the Hebrew Bible, except Esther, alongside other texts like community rules and apocalyptic writings. The Book of Enoch, however, stands out for its otherworldly narrative. Comprising 5 sections, the Book of the Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Epistles of Enoch. It spans roughly 100 chapters. Attributed to Enoch, the 7th patriarch in the Book of Genesis and great-grandfather of Noah, it tells a story that diverges sharply from the biblical account, weaving tales of celestial rebellion, hybrid offspring, and divine judgment. The Book of Enoch's core narrative, found in the Book of the Watchers, describes a group of 200 angels, known as the Watchers, who were sent to Earth to oversee humanity at an unspecified ancient time. These beings, described as sons of God in Genesis 6, were meant to observe, not interfere. Yet, overcome by desire, they defied their divine mandate, taking human women as mates. The result was the Nephilim, a race of giants born from this forbidden union. The Book of Enoch, chapter 7, paints a grim picture of these offspring. They were giants who consumed all the produce of men, and when that was not enough, they turned to eating mankind itself. Their savagery and the forbidden knowledge taught by the Watchers' metallurgy, astrology, and sorcery provoked the wrath of the higher gods. As punishment, the Watchers were bound in chains beneath the earth, and a great flood was unleashed to purge the world of the Nephilim's corruption. Enoch himself emerges as a central figure, not merely a scribe but a mediator between heaven and earth. The text describes his journeys, guided by angels, where he witnesses the rivers, mountains, and ends of the earth from above. In chapter 14, he ascends to a celestial throne room, surrounded by fiery beings, to receive divine visions. Enoch's role as a messenger culminates in his plea for mercy on behalf of the imprisoned Watchers, though his efforts fail to sway the divine decree. Ultimately, he is taken to heaven in a chariot of fire, a detail that echoes Elijah's ascension in the second book of Kings, suggesting a connection to advanced technology or extraterrestrial intervention. This narrative, vivid and otherworldly, sets the Book of Enoch apart from canonical scriptures, offering a glimpse into a cosmos alive with divine and demonic forces. Why, then, was such a text excluded from the Bible? The process of canonization, spanning the 1st to 4th centuries after Christ, was not a single event, but a complex struggle among early Christian and Jewish leaders. The Book of Enoch was revered by some early church fathers, such as Tertullian and Clement of Alexandria, and even quoted in the New Testament's Epistle of Jude. Yet, by the time the biblical canon was formalized, texts deemed too esoteric or controversial were sidelined. The Book of Enoch's tales of angels mating with humans and teaching forbidden arts were likely seen as too fantastical, potentially undermining the emerging orthodoxy. Its exclusion, some argue, was a deliberate act to suppress narratives that hinted at humanity's cosmic origins, possibly linked to extraterrestrial beings like the Anunnaki. The Book of Enoch's rediscovery among the Dead Sea Scrolls reignited these debates, but it also drew attention to another enigmatic manuscript, the Voynich manuscript, a mysterious text that some speculate could complement Enoch's revelations. Discovered in 1912 by rare book dealer Wilfrid Voynich, this manuscript, dated to the early 15th century, is written in an unknown script, undeciphered to this day. Its pages are filled with illustrations of unknown plants, astronomical diagrams, and humanoid figures, prompting theories that it contains encoded knowledge from an ancient or alien source. While mainstream scholars suggest it may be a cipher or hoax, others, including proponents of ancient astronaut theories, propose it could be a remnant of the Watchers' teachings, preserved by a secret society. The manuscript's cryptic nature mirrors the Book of Enoch's esoteric tone, both challenging conventional history with their refusal to yield clear answers. The Dead Sea Scrolls themselves, beyond the Book of Enoch, hint at a broader suppression of ancient knowledge. Found in jars sealed against time, they were likely hidden by the Essenes, a Jewish sect, to protect them from Roman persecution or theological purges. Fragments of other apocryphal texts, like the Gospel of Mary and the Book of Giants, also surfaced, reinforcing tales of divine human interactions and cosmic battles. The Book of Giants, for instance, expands on the Nephilim, naming specific giants like Gilgamesh, a figure also central to Sumerian epics. This overlap suggests a shared narrative across cultures, one that mainstream history has overlooked or dismissed. The implications of these texts are profound. If the Watchers were extraterrestrial beings, as some theorists propose, their knowledge could explain the sudden leaps in human civilization. The Sumerians, for example, credited their advancements to the Anunnaki, while Enoch's astronomical book details precise celestial observations, including solar and lunar cycles, that predate modern astronomy. Could these texts encode scientific truths, veiled in myth? In 2024, posts on X speculated that the Dead Sea Scrolls contain encrypted data about humanity's genetic origins, possibly linked to alien DNA. While unverified, such claims reflect a growing curiosity about these ancient manuscripts and their potential to rewrite history. The Book of Enoch also connects to modern mysteries. Its descriptions of fiery chariots and heavenly ascensions resemble reports of unidentified flying objects, with some researchers drawing parallels to sightings near Area 51. The text's emphasis on forbidden knowledge metallurgy, for instance, echoes artifacts like the Antikythera mechanism, a Greek device from the 2nd century before Christ that calculated planetary movements with computer-like precision. Was this technology a remnant of the Watcher's teachings, preserved through oral traditions and hidden texts? The question lingers, as does the mystery of why such knowledge was concealed. As we reflect on the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Enoch, we confront a paradox, a text revered by ancient communities yet banished from sacred canons. Its tales of giants, angels, and floods challenge our understanding of the past, suggesting a history shaped by forces beyond human ken. Were the Nephilim mere metaphors, or evidence of a cosmic intervention? Why were these scrolls hidden, and what other secrets lie buried in the sands of Qumran? If these mysteries spark your curiosity, consider subscribing to Mystery History for Sleep and ringing the notification bell to join us for more journeys into the unknown. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think the Book of Enoch is trying to tell us? Stay with us as the mysteries of our origins unfold, whispering truths from the dawn of time. What if a cataclysmic flood, sweeping across the earth in ancient times, was not a mere legend but a real event that reshaped humanity's destiny? What if this deluge, recounted in myths from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, was orchestrated by celestial beings to purge a world corrupted by their own creations? Imagine a planet submerged, its civilizations drowned, with only a chosen few surviving to carry the spark of knowledge forward. The story of the Great Flood, found in the Bible, Sumerian epics, and countless other traditions, raises questions that pierce the veil of history. Was this a natural disaster, or a deliberate act by gods or perhaps extraterrestrials who sought to reset the human experiment? The tale of the Great Flood is one of humanity's most enduring narratives, appearing in over 300 cultures worldwide, from the ancient Near East to the jungles of South America. In the Bible's book of Genesis, chapters 6 through 9, we meet Noah, a righteous man chosen by God to build an ark and preserve life against a flood sent to cleanse the earth of wickedness. The waters rose for 40 days and nights, submerging mountains and destroying all but those aboard the ark. This story, familiar to many, finds a striking parallel in the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, composed around 2100 to 1200 years before Christ. In its 11th tablet, the hero Gilgamesh meets Utnapishtim, a man granted immortality by the gods after surviving a great deluge. Warned by the god Ea, Utnapishtim built a massive vessel, taking aboard his family and animals as the heavens unleashed torrents that flooded the world for 7 days. These accounts, though separated by centuries, share uncanny similarities. Both describe a divine decision to eradicate humanity's corruption, a chosen survivor instructed to build a boat, and a flood that reshapes the earth. The Sumerian version, older by at least a millennium, suggests that the biblical narrative may have drawn from earlier Mesopotamian sources. The Atrahasis epic, another Sumerian text from the 18th century before Christ, details a flood sent by the god Enlil to curb human overpopulation, with Enki secretly aiding Atrahasis to survive. These stories point to a shared memory. But what event could inspire such widespread tales? Could a single cataclysm have left its mark on the collective psyche of humanity? Archaeological and geological evidence offers tantalizing clues. In 1997, marine geologists William Ryan and Walter Pittman proposed that around 5,600 years before Christ, a catastrophic flooding of the Black Sea occurred. As glaciers melted at the end of the last ice age, the Mediterranean Sea breached a land barrier at the Bosporus, pouring water into a freshwater lake at a rate 200 times that of Niagara Falls. For 2 years, the sea level rose 15 centimeters daily, submerging coastal settlements. This event, detailed in their book Noah's Flood, could explain the Mesopotamian flood myths as communities fled the rising waters, carrying their stories to distant lands. Excavations in 2000 by explorer Robert Ballard near Sinop, Turkey, revealed submerged structures, suggesting human habitation drowned by this deluge. Yet, the flood's scope may extend beyond the Black Sea. Sumerian tablets, like those found in Nineveh in 1849, describe a cosmic trigger for the flood, the approach of Nibiru, the alleged home planet of the Anunnaki. According to Zecharia Sitchin's translations, Nibiru's passage disrupted Earth's magnetic field, melting polar ice and causing tsunamis that engulfed cities from Mesopotamia to Africa. The tablets speak of black spots on the sun and a weakened magnetic field, phenomena consistent with modern understandings of climate upheaval. The Kolbrin Bible, a collection of ancient texts purportedly hidden for centuries, calls Nibiru the Destroyer, a fiery body that wrought devastation. While mainstream scholars dispute Sitchin's interpretations, citing linguistic inaccuracies, the alignment of these descriptions with geological evidence of rapid sea level rise around 10,000 years before Christ fuels speculation. This global resonance extends to other cultures. In Egyptian mythology, the goddess Nut, known as the Great Tide, is linked to a primordial flood from which sacred mounds emerged, as recorded on the walls of the Edfu Temple, built between 237 and 57 years before Christ. These inscriptions, translated by Professor Raymond Faulkner in 1960, speak of a time when the gods walked among men, only to unleash a deluge that reshaped the Nile Valley. The Harris Papyrus, from the 13th century before Christ, describes a high tide restrained by Isis and Set, mirroring the biblical flood's divine intervention. In the Hindu tradition, the Matsya Purana tells of Manu, warned by the fish god Matsya to build a boat to survive a flood that drowned the world, a tale echoed in the Satapatha Brahmana. Across the Pacific, Mesoamerican cultures like the Maya and Aztec recount similar cataclysms. The Popol Vuh, the Maya's sacred book, describes a flood sent by the Heart of Sky to destroy the first race of humans, flawed creations of mud and wood. The Aztecs' legend of the Five Suns speaks of a water sun, an era ended by a deluge that spared only a man and woman who became the ancestors of a new age. In South America, the Inca tell of Viracocha, a creator god who flooded the earth to punish disobedience, sparing a few to rebuild. These stories, separated by oceans, suggest a shared trauma, a collective memory of a world submerged. The theory of Atlantis, popularized by Plato in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias from the 4th century before Christ, adds another layer. Plato describes Atlantis as an advanced civilization, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, destroyed by a flood 9,000 years before his time, roughly 11,500 years before Christ. Graham Hancock, in his 2025 Netflix series Fingerprints of a Lost Civilization, argues that Atlantis was a real culture, perhaps located in the Mediterranean or even Antarctica, wiped out by rising seas at the end of the Ice Age. Hancock cites underwater structures off Yonaguni, Japan, and Bimini Road in the Bahamas, dated to 10,000 years before Christ, as possible remnants. These sites, with their massive stone formations, suggest advanced engineering submerged by catastrophic flooding, aligning with the Sumerian and biblical accounts. Lemuria, another lost continent theorized in the 19th century, complements this narrative. Proposed to explain biogeographical anomalies in the Indian Ocean, Lemuria is said to have been a land bridge connecting India, Madagascar, and Australia, submerged around the same time as Atlantis. Occultists like Helena Blavatsky, in her 1888 book The Secret Doctrine, claimed Lemuria was home to a spiritually advanced race, destroyed by a flood, but leaving survivors who seeded civilizations in Asia and Africa. While mainstream science dismisses Lemuria as a geological hypothesis outdated by plate tectonics, its persistence in myth parallels flood stories worldwide, suggesting a kernel of truth. These accounts raise a haunting question. Was the flood a natural disaster, or a deliberate act by advanced beings? The Book of Enoch attributes the deluge to divine judgment against the Nephilim, while Sumerian texts blame Enlil's wrath, countered by Enki's mercy. Could these gods be extraterrestrials, as Sitchin suggests, using planetary alignments to trigger a reset? In 2024, X-Post speculated that newly discovered tablets in Iraq describe a comet strike linked to Nibiru's orbit, causing the flood. While unverified, such claims echo the Kolbrin Bible's description of a cruel body of flames disrupting Earth's climate. Modern science confirms that around 12,900 years before Christ, a comet impact may have triggered the Younger Dryas, a sudden cooling period that melted glaciers and raised sea levels, lending credence to these ancient tales. The survival of chosen individuals, Noah, Utnapishtim, Manu, suggests a deliberate preservation of knowledge. The Edfu inscriptions mention 7 sages who, after the flood, rebuilt sacred sites like the Giza pyramids. In Babylonian lore, the Apkallu, fish-like sages, emerged post-deluge to teach humanity. These figures, found in Hindu, Mesoamerican, and African traditions, imply a global effort to restart civilization. The Dogon tribe's Nomo, amphibious beings from Sirius, are said to have guided survivors, their aquatic imagery mirroring flood myths. Could these sages be survivors of Atlantis or Lemuria, or even emissaries of the Anunnaki, tasked with preserving cosmic wisdom? As we navigate these waters, the Great Flood emerges as more than a story. It is a global memory, etched in stone, clay, and oral tradition. Was it a natural catastrophe, a divine punishment, or an extraterrestrial intervention? Why do so many cultures share this tale, and what truths lie beneath their waves? What if, after a cataclysmic flood reshaped the earth, a group of enlightened beings emerged from the waters to rebuild civilization? What if these 7 sages, revered across ancient cultures, were not mere mortals but carriers of cosmic knowledge, guided by a figure like Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom? Imagine a time when humanity teetered on the brink of oblivion, only to be saved by these mysterious figures who taught writing, astronomy, and architecture, laying the foundations for our world. The inscriptions on the walls of Egypt's Edfu temple speak of such sages, survivors of a drowned island, who rebuilt sacred sites like the Giza pyramids. Across cultures, from Sumer to India, similar stories echo, raising questions that stir the imagination. Were these sages human, divine, or something else entirely? The story begins in Egypt, at the Edfu temple, constructed between 237 and 57 years before Christ. Its ancient inscriptions, translated by Egyptologist Raymond Faulkner in 1960, describe a group of 7 wise men who arrived after a primordial flood. These sages, emerging from a sacred mound that rose from the waters, were tasked with rebuilding the world's sacred sites. The texts call this era Zep Tepi, the first time, a mythical period when gods walked among men and the earth was born anew. The sages, guided by Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, writing, and science, are credited with constructing temples and pyramids, including the Great Pyramid of Giza. Thoth, known to the Greeks as Hermes and to the Arabs as Idris, is a figure of immense significance, revered as the keeper of divine knowledge and the architect of civilization. Thoth's role extends beyond Egypt. Ancient texts, such as the Emerald Tablets, a later Hermetic work attributed to him, describe Thoth as a being who arrived in a celestial ship, bringing wisdom from the stars. In Egyptian lore, he is depicted with a writing stylus, credited with inventing hieroglyphs and recording the secrets of the universe. The Book of the Dead, Aphorism 17, mentions Thoth's magical tools, a mirror to see distant places, a singing bird to gather news, and a staff called Sahem, symbolizing cosmic power. Some speculate Sahem was not merely a scepter, but a device for observing the stars, hinting at advanced technology. The temple at Heliopolis, a center of Thoth's worship, housed a library said to contain his writings, including descriptions of secret tunnels beneath the Giza plateau. These texts, lost to time, fuel theories that Thoth was more than a god, perhaps an extraterrestrial emissary or a survivor of a lost civilization. The 7 sages appear in other cultures, suggesting a global tradition. In Sumerian mythology, they are the Apkallu, fish-like beings who emerged after the Great Flood to teach humanity. The Babylonian Berossus, a priest in the 3rd century before Christ, describes the Apkallu as led by Oannes, a figure akin to Thoth, who taught writing, agriculture, and astronomy. In Hindu tradition, the 7 rishis, enlightened seers, survived a deluge to preserve Vedic knowledge, their names tied to the stars of the Big Dipper. The Mesoamerican Popol Vuh speaks of 7 creator gods, while the Dogon tribe of Mali credits the Nomo, amphibious beings from Sirius, with post-flood teachings. These parallels, spanning continents, suggest the sages were a universal archetype, or perhaps real beings, who seeded civilization after a global catastrophe. The Edfu inscriptions link the sages to a lost island, destroyed by a flood, from which they fled to Egypt. This echoes Plato's Atlantis, described in Timaeus and Critias as a sophisticated civilization sunk beneath the sea 11,500 years before Christ. Graham Hancock, in his 2025 series Fingerprints of a Lost Civilization, argues that Atlantis was a real culture, possibly in the Mediterranean or Bahamas, whose survivors carried advanced knowledge to Egypt and beyond. The Bimini Road, underwater stone formations off the Bahamas, dated to 10,000 years before Christ, is cited as a possible Atlantean remnant. Similarly, Lemuria, a hypothesized lost continent in the Indian Ocean, is said to have housed a spiritually advanced race, its survivors influencing Asian and African cultures. The Edfu text's reference to a drowned island aligns with these theories, suggesting the sages were refugees of a cataclysmic event. Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old site in Turkey, discovered in 1994, adds weight to this narrative. Its massive T-shaped pillars, carved with intricate animals and human figures, predate Stonehenge and the pyramids, challenging the timeline of civilization. Joe Rogan, in a 2025 podcast, speculated that Göbekli Tepe was built by survivors of a lost culture, possibly guided by extraterrestrial knowledge. The site's astronomical alignments, with pillars oriented towards Sirius, mirror the Dogon's celestial lore and Thoth's astronomical teachings in the Book of Enoch. Could Göbekli Tepe be a creation of the 7 sages, a monument to their mission to rebuild humanity? Thoth's connection to Enoch deepens the mystery. In Jewish tradition, Enoch, the 7th patriarch, is a figure of divine favor, taken to heaven without death. The Book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, describes his celestial journeys and receipt of cosmic knowledge, including solar and lunar cycles. Ancient sources, like the historian Taqi al-Din Ahmad, equate Thoth with Enoch, Idris, and Hermes, suggesting a single archetype, a wise being who bridges heaven and earth. In Sumerian lore, the sage Enmeduranki, the 7th king before the flood, received heavenly tablets from the god Uriel, mirroring Enoch's role. These overlaps hint that Thoth and the sages were not isolated figures but part of a global effort to preserve knowledge after a cataclysm. The sages' teachings transformed humanity. In Egypt, Thoth's hieroglyphs enabled record-keeping, while his astronomical insights shaped the solar calendar. The Sumerian Apkallu taught cuneiform, leading to the first written laws. In India, the rishis codified Vedic hymns, while the Dogon's Nomo introduced agriculture. These advancements, appearing suddenly after 10,000 years before Christ, suggest an external catalyst. Geneticist Robert Carter, in a 2024 study, noted rapid changes in human DNA around this period, particularly genes for language and cognition, fueling speculation of guided evolution. Could the sages, led by Thoth, have been agents of this transformation, possibly under extraterrestrial guidance? Theories of alien intervention gain traction from artifacts like the Saqqara bird, a wooden object from 3rd century Egypt, resembling a modern glider. Discovered in 1898, its aerodynamic design suggests advanced engineering, possibly a model of a larger craft. The Book of Enoch's fiery chariots and Thoth's celestial ship echo descriptions of unidentified flying objects, with posts on X in 2025 linking them to Area 51 sightings. Eric von Daniken, in his 1970 book Chariots of the Gods, argues that such artifacts reflect alien technology shared by figures like Thoth. While mainstream scholars attribute the Saqqara bird to symbolic art, its precision challenges conventional explanations. The sage's legacy also faces suppression. The Emerald Tablets, though a later Hermetic text, claimed Thoth's knowledge was hidden to protect it from misuse. The Dead Sea Scrolls, likely concealed by the Essenes to evade Roman destruction, suggest a pattern of safeguarding esoteric wisdom. In 2025, conspiracy theorists on X allege that Vatican archives hold Thoth's original writings, suppressed to maintain religious control. While unverified, these claims reflect a belief that the sage's teachings threaten established narratives, much like the Book of Enoch's exclusion from the Bible. As we reflect on the seven sages and Thoth, we confront a profound question. Were they survivors of a lost world, divine emissaries, or extraterrestrial guides? Their presence in global myths, from Egypt to Sumer, suggests a coordinated effort to rebuild after a flood. Sites like Göbekli Tepe and artifacts like the Saqqara bird hint at knowledge beyond human reach at the time. Why do these stories persist, and why were they hidden? I'm curious, where are you tuning in from tonight, and what's the hour where you are? Let us know in the comments. It's always intriguing to see where these ancient tales are sparking wonder. What if the colossal stone structures scattered across the earth, monuments that defy explanation, were not built by human hands alone? What if the towering blocks of Baalbek, the precisely aligned pillars of Stonehenge, or the mysterious carvings of Göbekli Tepe were crafted with the aid of beings far beyond our understanding? Imagine a time when giants walked the earth, or celestial visitors bestowed advanced technology upon humanity, enabling feats of engineering that remain unmatched even today. These megalithic wonders, standing silent for millennia, raise questions that echo through the ages. How were they constructed, and by whom? Were they the work of gods, extraterrestrials, or a lost civilization guided by divine knowledge? In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon lies the ancient site of Baalbek, home to some of the largest cut stones ever discovered. The Trilithon, a set of 3 massive limestone blocks in the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter, each weighs approximately 800 tons, with some estimates reaching 1,242 tons for nearby uncut stones like the Stone of the South. These monoliths, quarried and transported over a kilometre, were placed with such precision that modern engineers struggle to explain how they were moved without machinery. The Roman builders who later occupied Baalbek, around the 1st century after Christ, constructed atop these foundations but never claimed credit for the Trilithon. Ancient texts, including those from the Phoenician historian Sanchuniathon, suggest the site was sacred long before Roman times, linked to the god Baal, whom some equate with the Sumerian Enlil. Could these stones, cut and lifted with superhuman precision, be the work of the Nephilim or the Anunnaki, as described in ancient Sumerian and biblical accounts? Across the globe, in southern Siberia, the Mount Shoria megaliths present an even greater mystery. Discovered in 2013 by Russian archaeologists, these granite boulders, some estimated at 3,000 tons, dwarf Baalbek stones. Stacked in a manner suggesting intentional construction, they form a wall-like structure on a remote mountainside. Geologist Georgy Sidorov, who led the expedition, argued that their size and arrangement defy natural formation, proposing they were shaped by a prehistoric civilization with advanced technology. Critics attribute them to glacial activity, but the block's sharp edges and apparent tool marks challenge such explanations. The sheer scale of Mount Shoria's megaliths evokes tales of giants, like those in the Book of Enoch, who could move mountains in service of divine or extraterrestrial masters. In England, Stonehenge stands as another testament to ancient ingenuity. Erected around 3,000 years before Christ, its massive sarsen stones, weighing up to 50 tons, were transported from 20 miles away and aligned with the solstices. The smaller blue stones, sourced from over 140 miles away in Wales, were moved across rugged terrain, an astonishing feat for a supposedly primitive society. The name Stonehenge, derived from the Saxon term for hanging stones, hints at an older tradition, the Ring of the Giants, as some medieval texts call it. Local legends attribute its construction to Merlin, a figure linked to ancient wisdom, but could it reflect the work of the seven sages or their celestial guides? Archaeoastronomer Gerald Hawkins, in his 1965 book, Stonehenge Decoded, demonstrated its precise astronomical alignments, suggesting a knowledge of the cosmos far beyond Neolithic capabilities. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, uncovered in 1994, pushes the timeline even further back, dated to 12,000 years before Christ. Its T-shaped pillars, some weighing 20 tons, are carved with intricate animals, humans, and celestial symbols. Predating Sumer and Egypt, Göbekli Tepe challenges the narrative of civilization's gradual rise. Its pillars, aligned with stars like Sirius, suggest an astronomical purpose, echoing the Book of Enoch's celestial teachings. Graham Hancock, in a 2025 podcast with Joe Rogan, argued that Göbekli Tepe was built by survivors of a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis, guided by advanced knowledge. The site's deliberate burial around 10,000 years before Christ, as if to hide it from future eyes, fuels speculation that its builders sought to preserve a secret, perhaps one linked to the Anunnaki or the Seven Sages. The Nazca lines in Peru, etched into the desert between 500 years before Christ and 500 years after Christ, add another layer of mystery. These massive geoglyphs, visible only from the air, depict animals, geometric shapes, and humanoid figures stretching up to 30 miles. Their purpose remains unknown, but Eric von Daniken, in his 1968 book Chariots of the Gods, proposed they were landing strips or signals for extraterrestrial visitors. The line's precision, requiring aerial perspective, suggests a technology beyond the Nazca culture's known capabilities. Some theorists link them to the Anunnaki, whose celestial ships, as described in Sumerian texts, could have inspired such designs. While mainstream archaeologists attribute the lines to ritual purposes, their scale and visibility from above defy simple explanation. In Syria, the Ain Dara temple, dated to the 10th century before Christ, bears 3-foot-long footprints carved into its courtyard, suggesting a being over 15 feet tall. Discovered in 1955, these footprints align with biblical accounts of giants like the Rephaim, who inhabited the region. Russian archaeologist Ernest Moldashev, in 2005, claimed to have found graves of giants near Ain Dara, though political instability prevented excavation. These findings, though unverified, echo reports of oversized artifacts across the globe, from oversized sarcophagi in Egypt to massive stone tools in Bolivia's Tiwanaku, dated to 2,000 years before Christ. The Puma Punku site at Tiwanaku, with its precisely cut andesite blocks, some weighing 100 tons, features interlocking designs that suggest advanced machining. How could such precision be achieved without modern tools? Theories of extraterrestrial or divine involvement gain traction from these anomalies. The Book of Enoch describes the Watchers teaching humanity metallurgy and construction, skills that could explain megalithic feats. Sumerian texts credit the Anunnaki with building cities like Eridu, aligned with celestial patterns. The Edfu temple inscriptions, translated in 1960, attribute Egypt's pyramids to Thoth and the Seven Sages, who survived a flood to rebuild sacred sites. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built around 2,600 years before Christ, aligns with Orion's belt and boasts mathematical precision. Its base perimeter encodes pi and the Earth's circumference. Egyptologist Robert Bauval, in his 1994 book The Orion Mystery, argued this reflects cosmic knowledge, possibly imparted by extraterrestrial guides. Modern conspiracies amplify these questions. In 2025, posts on X speculated that the Smithsonian Institution and Vatican archives conceal megalithic blueprints, fearing their revelation would upend history. The Tartaria theory, gaining momentum online, posits that a global empire of giants built these structures, only to be erased by a mud flood in the 19th century. Proponents cite buried building foundations in European cities as evidence, though mainstream scholars attribute these to natural sedimentation. The Saqqara bird, a 3rd century Egyptian artifact resembling a glider, fuels speculation of advanced technology, possibly linked to Thoth's celestial ship. While dismissed as a toy by academics, its aerodynamic design suggests otherwise. Skeptics argue that megaliths were built by human ingenuity, using ramps, rollers, and collective labor. Yet, experiments to replicate Baalbek's stone-moving feats, like those conducted in 2010 by engineer Roger Hopkins, failed to match the precision without modern cranes. The sheer scale of Mount Shaurya, or Puma Punku, defies such methods, prompting questions about lost techniques or non-human assistance. The alignment of sites like Stonehenge and Göbekli Tepe with stars suggests astronomical knowledge that predates written records, aligning with the Book of Enoch's celestial visions. As we stand before these stone giants, their silence speaks volumes. Were they crafted by the Nephilim, guided by the Anunnaki, or built by a lost civilization under Thoth's tutelage? Why do their builders remain shrouded in mystery, and what knowledge did they encode in stone that challenge our understanding of history? What if the bones of giants, towering relics of a forgotten era, have been unearthed across the globe only to be whisked away into the shadows of secret vaults? What if institutions, from museums to governments, have conspired to suppress evidence of the Nephilim, those colossal beings born of celestial and human unions, to protect a sanitized version of history? Imagine skeletal remains, some over 10 feet long, discovered in caves, deserts, and ancient mounds, only to vanish under the guise of misidentification or bureaucratic cover-up. The whispers of these finds, from the sands of Egypt to the caves of Nevada, raise chilling questions. Why would such discoveries be hidden? And who stands to gain from keeping humanity ignorant of its true origins? The saga of giant bones begins with ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, which describes the Nephilim as towering offspring of the Watchers and human women. Genesis 6, verse 4, in the Old Testament, confirms their existence, noting they were on the earth in those days and afterward, men of renown whose size and strength defied human norms. These giants, like Goliath of Gath, who stood 6 cubits and a span roughly 9 feet tall, populate biblical narratives, from the Anakim of Canaan to the Rephaim of Moab. Yet, beyond scripture, historical accounts and archaeological reports suggest that physical evidence of these beings has surfaced repeatedly, only to be lost, dismissed, or concealed. In the 1930s, excavations on Mount Carmel in Israel uncovered bones described as belonging to a prehistoric race of giants. These findings, reported by local archaeologists, were poised to rewrite human history, but the bones mysteriously disappeared, with attention redirected to Neanderthal remains. Similarly, in 2001, Howard University archaeologists, excavating a tomb in Giza, Egypt, discovered a 6.5-foot skeleton with an unusually large skull and jawbone, suggesting non-human proportions. The skull was quietly removed from study, and the excavation was halted, with the site reburied under official orders. In 1881, Professor Timmerman, exploring ruins near the Nile, found skeletons ranging from 7 feet 8 inches to 11 feet 1 inch, yet these too vanished from academic records, leaving only fleeting mentions in obscure journals. Across the Atlantic, the United States has its own history of giant discoveries, often shrouded in controversy. In the 19th century, American newspapers frequently reported finds of oversized skeletons in burial mounds, particularly in the Midwest. An 1876 article in the Red River Valley News described a heroic skull and bones found in Minnesota, estimated at 8 feet tall. Another, from 1895 in Ohio, detailed a mound containing a 9-foot skeleton adorned with copper armor. These reports, numbering in the hundreds, fueled public fascination, yet the bones rarely reached museums. The Smithsonian Institution, often implicated in these accounts, is accused of cataloging such finds only to store them in restricted archives. A 2025 thread on X claimed that Smithsonian warehouses in Washington, D.C. hold crates of giant skeletons, labeled as animal remains to deter scrutiny, though no verifiable evidence supports this. The Lovelock Cave in Nevada, excavated in 1914, offers a compelling case. Archaeologists found oversized artifacts, sandals measuring 15 inches, and jawbones twice the size of a human's, alongside reports of 8-foot skeletons. Local Paiute legends speak of the Site Ka, a race of red-haired, cannibalistic giants defeated in a cave battle. While the University of California catalogued some remains, many were reportedly lost or destroyed. Skeptics argue these were exaggerated or misidentified megafauna bones. Yet the consistency of native oral traditions and physical artifacts challenges such dismissals. In 2024, a viral X post revived interest, alleging that Lovelock's remaining bones were moved to a classified facility, possibly linked to Area 51. Perhaps the most sensational account comes from 2002, when an anonymous whistleblower on a radio show described a United States military encounter in Afghanistan's Kandahar province. A special operations team, investigating a missing squad, found a cave strewn with broken equipment and human remains. Emerging from the darkness was a 13-foot, red-haired humanoid, weighing approximately 500 kilograms, clad in animal skins and wielding a spear. The creature killed a soldier before being gunned down after a 30-second barrage. Its body, reportedly airlifted to a secret US base, was never publicly disclosed. While dismissed as folklore by military officials, the story aligns with ancient tales of Nephilim-like beings, fueling speculation that isolated giants may still roam remote regions. These disappearances form the crux of a broader conspiracy theory that global institutions, from the Smithsonian to the Vatican, deliberately suppress evidence of giants to maintain a narrative of human evolution untainted by divine or extraterrestrial intervention. The Book of Enoch, excluded from the biblical canon by the 4th century, is often cited as a victim of this censorship. Early Christian fathers like Tertullian revered it, yet its tales of watchers and giants were deemed too heretical, possibly threatening ecclesiastical control. The Gospel of Jude, quoting Enoch directly, suggests its influence, yet its absence from mainstream scripture mirrors the fate of physical evidence. In 2025, X-users speculated that Vatican archives hold Enochian fragments and giant bones, guarded to prevent a re-evaluation of history. The Grand Canyon offers another enigmatic chapter. In 1909, a Phoenix Gazette article reported that explorer G.E. Kincaid discovered a cave in the Grand Canyon containing Egyptian-style artifacts and mummies, some over 9 feet tall. The Smithsonian, allegedly involved, denied the find, and the cave's location remains undisclosed, with the area now restricted. Conspiracy theorists, including David Hatcher Childress in his 2000 book Technology of the Gods, argue that these artifacts suggest a transoceanic culture, possibly linked to the Anunnaki or Atlantis. The National Park Service's refusal to allow excavations fuels claims of a cover-up, with X posts in 2025 alleging drone footage of sealed cave entrances. Why would such evidence be hidden? Proponents argue that giants challenge Darwinian evolution, suggesting external intervention by beings like the Anunnaki or Watchers. The Tartaria conspiracy, popular on X, posits that a global empire of giants built megalithic structures, only to be erased by a 19th century mud flood orchestrated by elites. Buried building foundations in European cities, like those in Moscow, are cited as evidence, though geologists attribute them to natural sedimentation. The Rothschild family, often central to conspiracy theories, is said to control institutions that suppress such finds, their influence tracing back to ancient bloodlines enhanced by extraterrestrial DNA, a claim rooted in Zecharia Sitchin's work, but lacking verifiable proof. Skeptics counter that giant bones are often misidentified megafauna, like mastodon or mammoth remains, common in 19th century America. The Smithsonian's rigorous cataloging, detailed in their annual reports, shows no evidence of hidden skeletons, and the Kandahar giant story lacks corroboration beyond anecdotal accounts. The Grand Canyon tale, while intriguing, relies on a single newspaper article, with no physical artifacts surfacing. Yet, the sheer volume of reports, over 1,000 in 19th century newspapers, suggests something more than coincidence. The Book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, describes the Anakim as so large that Israelites felt like grasshoppers, a vivid image echoed in native tales of giants across cultures. Modern parallels deepen the mystery. In 2024, a leaked report on X claimed that a 9-foot skeleton was found in Peru's Nazca region, near the famous geoglyphs. but was confiscated by Peruvian authorities. The Nazca lines, some believe, were signals for celestial beings, possibly linked to the Watchers. Similarly, the Ain Dara temple in Syria, with its 3-foot footprints, suggests giants walked its halls. These sites, like the bones, are often inaccessible, with excavations halted or restricted. Could this be a coordinated effort to protect a narrative that excludes the Nephilim? As we sift through these accounts, the conspiracy to hide giant bones emerges as a clash between myth and reality. Were these skeletons evidence of a race born from celestial unions, or mere misinterpretations of the past? Why do institutions dismiss or sequester such finds, and what truths lie in their hidden vaults? If these questions intrigue you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with your take on the giant mystery. And if you're enjoying this dive into history's secrets, feel free to subscribe to Mystery History for Sleep and hit the bell to catch our next episode. Join us as the shadows of history reveal their guarded truths. What if the frozen wastes of Antarctica conceal the remnants of a lost civilization buried beneath miles of ice? What if this icy continent, long thought to be a barren wilderness, holds secrets of ancient visitors, extraterrestrial bases, or even the fabled Atlantis? Imagine pyramids and cities hidden under glaciers, guarded by governments and shadowed by rumors of Nazi experiments and alien technology. The Piri Reis map, drawn in 1513, depicts Antarctica's coastline free of ice, a feat impossible without advanced knowledge predating modern discovery. Whispers of classified expeditions and suppressed archaeological finds fuel questions that refuse to stay buried. What lies beneath Antarctica's ice, and why is it so fiercely protected? Antarctica, the 5th largest continent, remains one of Earth's least explored regions, covered by ice sheets up to 4 kilometers thick. Its official discovery, in 1820 by Russian explorers Fabian Gottlieb, von Bellingshausen, and Mikhail Lazarev, marked it as a desolate land, yet ancient maps and modern conspiracies suggest a far richer history. The Piri Reis map, compiled by Turkish Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, shows Antarctica's coastline with startling accuracy, including details of Queen Maud Land and the Palmer Peninsula. Most astonishingly, it depicts the continent free of ice, a condition not seen for over 10,000 years, when the last ice age ended. Modern science, through ice core studies published in Nature in 2020, confirms that Antarctica's ice began forming around 34 million years ago, but coastal areas were ice-free as recently as 12,000 years before Christ. How could a 16th century cartographer possess such knowledge, centuries before Antarctica's discovery? The Piri Reis map, discovered in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace in 1929, draws on older sources, including charts attributed to Christopher Columbus and ancient Greek mariners. Some theorists, like Charles Hapgood in his 1966 book Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, argue that it reflects knowledge from a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis, or extraterrestrial surveyors who mapped Earth from above. The map's precision, showing rivers and mountains now buried under ice, suggests advanced cartography or aerial technology. Erich von Däniken, in his 1968 book Chariots of the Gods, proposed that the Anunnaki, the Sumerian celestial beings, could have created such maps, their ships orbiting Earth millennia ago. While mainstream scholars attribute the map's accuracy to lucky guesses or later interpolations, its anomalies challenge conventional history. Antarctica's mysteries deepen with the legend of Atlantis, described by Plato in his 4th century before Christ dialogues Timaeus and Critias. Plato places Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a naval power sunk by a cataclysm 11,500 years before his time. Graham Hancock, in his 2025 Netflix series Fingerprints of a Lost Civilization, suggests Antarctica as a candidate for Atlantis, citing its ice-free state during the last ice age's end, around 10,000 years before Christ. Geological evidence, including sediment cores from the Antarctic Peninsula published in Science in 2023, indicates warm, habitable conditions in coastal regions at that time. Could survivors of a flooded Atlantis have fled to Egypt or Mesopotamia, becoming the 7 sages who rebuilt civilization as described in the Edfu Temple inscriptions. The theory of a lost Antarctic civilization gains traction from modern discoveries. In 1996, satellite imagery revealed a massive rectangular structure beneath the ice in Wilkes Land, dubbed the Wilkes Land Anomaly. Measuring 243 kilometers wide, it resembles a man-made complex, prompting speculation of a buried city. NASA's Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment in 2006 confirmed a dense mass, possibly a meteor crater, but conspiracy theorists on X in 2025 argue it's an ancient pyramid or base. John Priscu, a Montana State University glaciologist, noted in a 2024 interview that subglacial lakes beneath Antarctica, like Lake Vostok, could preserve microbial life or artifacts from a pre-ice civilization. While no direct evidence supports this, the possibility of preserved ruins fuels intrigue. Nazi Germany's interest in Antarctica adds a darker layer. In 1938 to 1939, the German Antarctic expedition, led by Alfred Richer, explored New Swabia, claiming it for the Third Reich. Declassified documents from the United States National Archives in 2020 reveal that the Nazis mapped subglacial caves and conducted secret missions, possibly seeking ancient technology. Post-World War II rumors, popularized in a 2025 X thread, claim that Adolf Hitler escaped to an Antarctic base, supported by Operation High Jump, a 1946 United States naval expedition led by Admiral Richard Byrd, officially tasked with mapping High Jump's scale 4,700 personnel and 13 ships, suggests a hidden agenda. Byrd's alleged diary, leaked in 1996, describes encounters with advanced aircraft in a subterranean city, though its authenticity is disputed. The extraterrestrial angle intensifies with claims of alien bases. In 1965, the Chilean Air Force reported unidentified flying objects over Antarctica, detailed in a declassified report published in 2022. Whistleblowers, including former Navy SEAL Eric Hecker, in a 2024 podcast, allege that McMurdo Station conceals a particle beam weapon, possibly reverse-engineered from alien technology found beneath the ice. These claims, unverified, align with Sumerian tales of the Anunnaki, who established Earth Station 1 in the Persian Gulf for gold mining. Could Antarctica have been another outpost, its frozen isolation preserving their secrets? The Book of Enoch's description of imprisoned watchers beneath the Earth evokes images of subglacial chambers, a notion echoed in 2025 X posts about classified drilling operations. Modern technology has uncovered further anomalies. In 2018, Google Earth images revealed a pyramid-like structure in the Ellsworth Mountains, dubbed the Antarctic Pyramid. Geologists, like Eric Rigno in a 2024 Nature study, argue it's a natural nunatak, but its geometric shape fuels speculation of artificial origins. Similarly, ground-penetrating radar in 2022 detected cavities beneath the Ross Ice Shelf, hinting at structures or artifacts. These findings, restricted by international treaties like the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, which bans unauthorized exploration, feed conspiracies of a global cover-up. The treaty's secrecy clauses, enforced by 12 nations, raise questions. Why is Antarctica off-limits to independent researchers? The Tartaria conspiracy, gaining momentum online, connects Antarctica to a lost empire of giants. Proponents argue that Tartarian outposts, built by Nephilim-like beings, extended to Antarctica, their architecture buried by ice or mud floods. A 2025 X post claimed that Russian core samples from Lake Vostok contain non-human DNA, suppressed by global elites. While unverified, such claims echo ancient texts like the Kolbrin Bible, which describes a destroyer, a celestial body like Nibiru, causing floods that submerged advanced cultures. Could Antarctica hold remnants of such a culture, linked to the Anunnaki or Atlantis? Skeptics dismiss these theories, citing geological explanations. The Wilkes Land anomaly is likely a crater, per NASA's 2006 analysis, and the Antarctic Pyramid aligns with natural rock formations. The Piri Reis map's accuracy may stem from Ottoman access to Greek or Phoenician charts, not extraterrestrial sources. Nazi expeditions, per historian Colin Summerhayes in 2020, sought strategic bases, not alien technology. Yet, the sheer volume of anomalies, maps, radar data, and restricted access challenges dismissal. The Book of Enoch's tales of divine punishment and the Sumerian flood narratives suggest a cataclysm that could have buried civilizations, with Antarctica as a frozen archive. Modern parallels deepen the intrigue. In 2025, a leaked report on X alleged that a joint United States-Russian expedition found a metallic structure beneath the ice, emitting low-frequency signals. While unconfirmed, it recalls the Antikythera mechanism, a 2nd century before Christ device with computer-like precision, possibly linked to Thoth's teachings. The secrecy surrounding Antarctica, from military operations to restricted zones, mirrors the suppression of giant bones and apocryphal texts like Enoch. Why do governments guard this continent so fiercely? Is it to protect scientific research, or to conceal truths about our origins? As we peer into Antarctica's icy depths, the questions multiply. Was it a refuge for Atlantis' survivors, a base for the Anunnaki, or a stronghold for Nazi experiments? Do its glaciers hide pyramids, cities, or alien technology? The Piri race map, ancient myths, and modern anomalies suggest a history far richer than we've been told. What if a secretive military base in the Nevada desert holds the key to humanity's cosmic past? What if Area 51, shrouded in mystery and guarded by armed forces, harbors technology not of this earth, artifacts from ancient visitors or crashed extraterrestrial crafts? Imagine a facility where the knowledge of the Anunnaki, the Watchers, or other celestial beings is being reverse engineered, hidden from the public to maintain control over history's narrative. From ancient Sumerian tablets to modern-day whistleblower accounts, stories of advanced technology persist, raising questions that pierce the veil of secrecy. What is Area 51 hiding? And how does it connect to the ancient myths of gods and giants? Area 51, a remote detachment of Edwards Air Force Base located in the Nevada desert, has been synonymous with conspiracy theories since the 1950s. Officially a testing ground for classified military projects, its existence was not acknowledged by the United States government until 2013, when declassified documents confirmed its role in developing aircraft like the U-2 spy plane and the F-117 Nighthawk. Yet, its isolation surrounded by restricted airspace and guarded by signs warning of lethal force has fueled speculation that it serves a far greater purpose. The base's secrecy, coupled with reported sightings of unidentified flying objects, has made it a focal point for those who believe humanity's technological leaps stem from extraterrestrial sources, possibly linked to the Anunnaki or the Watchers described in ancient texts. The connection to ancient history begins with the Sumerian tablets, unearthed in the 19th century, which describe the Anunnaki as celestial beings from the planet Nibiru. These texts, particularly the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, detail their use of advanced tools and vehicles, including flying crafts referred to as heavenly boats. The Book of Enoch, rediscovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, similarly describes Enoch's ascent in a fiery chariot, a vision that echoes modern reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. Could these ancient accounts be early descriptions of extraterrestrial technology, preserved in myth? The Saqqara bird, a 3rd century before Christ Egyptian artifact resembling a glider, and the Antikythera mechanism, a 2nd century before Christ Greek device with computer-like precision, suggests that ancient civilizations accessed knowledge beyond their time, knowledge that some theorists link to Area 51's secretive projects. The modern saga of Area 51 gained traction in 1989, when physicist Bob Lazar appeared on a Las Vegas television station, claiming he worked at a sub-site called S4. Lazar alleged that he studied 9 extraterrestrial spacecraft, powered by an element called 115, which enabled anti-gravity propulsion. Though lacking physical evidence and criticized for inconsistent credentials, Lazar's story ignited public fascination, amplified by his 2019 appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, where he reiterated claims of reverse engineering alien technology. In 2025, posts on X revisited Lazar's assertions, linking them to declassified United States Air Force documents from 2022 that mention advanced propulsion systems tested at Area 51. While skeptics dismiss Lazar as a fabricator, his descriptions of gravitational wave technology align with ancient depictions of flying crafts in Sumerian and Egyptian texts. Whistleblower accounts add fuel to the fire. In 2024, former Navy SEAL Eric Hecker, speaking on a podcast, claimed that Area 51's Groom Lake facility houses a particle beam weapon, possibly derived from alien technology. Hecker alleged that underground chambers store artifacts from ancient sites, including those linked to the Anunnaki's gold mining operations in Africa, as described in Sumerian tablets. These claims, unverified, echo a 2002 incident in Afghanistan, where a United States military squad reportedly encountered a 13-foot red-haired giant, its body airlifted to a secret facility, possibly Area 51. The giant, clad in animal skins and weighing 500 kilograms, recalls the Nephilim of the Book of Enoch, suggesting a link between ancient giants and modern cover-ups. The Grand Canyon Caves, reported in a 1909 Phoenix Gazette article, offer another connection. Explorer G.E. Kincaid claimed to find a subterranean chamber containing Egyptian-style artifacts and 9-foot mummies, suggesting a transoceanic culture or extraterrestrial influence. The Smithsonian Institution, allegedly involved, denied the discovery, and the cave's location remains restricted. In 2025, ex-users circulated drone footage, purportedly showing sealed cave entrances in the Grand Canyon, fueling speculation that Area 51 serves as a repository for such finds. The secrecy surrounding these artifacts mirrors the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki hiding their technology, as detailed in Zecharia Sitchin's Earth Chronicles, published between 1976 and 2007. Area 51's role in unidentified flying object sightings strengthens the extraterrestrial hypothesis. In 1947, the Roswell incident in New Mexico, where a supposed crashed spacecraft was recovered, sparked rumors that debris was transported to Area 51. Declassified documents from 2011 confirm that the Air Force investigated the incident, officially attributing it to a weather balloon. However, whistleblowers like Colonel Philip J. Corso, in his 1997 book The Day After Roswell, claimed that alien materials from the crash led to advancements in fiber optics and microchips. In 2019, the Storm Area 51 event, initiated as a viral meme on social media, drew thousands to the base's perimeter, reflecting public belief in hidden alien technology. Posts on X in 2025 alleged that recent unidentified aerial phenomena, sightings over Nevada, reported by the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, originate from Area 50, one's testing of reverse-engineered crafts. Ancient artifacts provide intriguing parallels. The Sumerian tablets describe the Anunnaki's use of advanced devices, such as the tablets of destiny that controlled cosmic forces. The Book of Enoch's Watchers taught metallurgy and astronomy, skills that could explain artifacts like the Baghdad Battery, a 1st-century Parthian device possibly used for electroplating, discovered in 1936. In 2024, archaeologists in Iraq uncovered a clay tablet depicting a winged disc, interpreted by some as a schematic of an Anunnaki craft. These artifacts, often dismissed as ceremonial, suggest a technological legacy that Area 51 may be studying. The Tartaria conspiracy, popular on X, posits that a global empire of giants used such technology, with remnants stored in classified facilities like Area 51 after a 19th century mud flood erased their history. Skeptics argue that Area 51's secrecy is purely military, focused on projects like the B-2 Spirit bomber or hypersonic drones. The Pentagon's 2022 report on unidentified aerial phenomena attributes most sightings to atmospheric phenomena or foreign technology, not aliens. Bob Lazar's claims lack corroboration, and the Roswell debris was confirmed as terrestrial in origin by metallurgical analysis in 2015. The Grand Canyon Cave story relies on a single, unverified newspaper article, and the Saqqara bird is classified as a ritual object by Egyptologists. Yet, The persistence of these narratives, amplified by declassified files and whistleblower testimonies, challenges outright dismissal. The sheer volume of sightings, over 144 reported by the Pentagon in 2021, suggests something extraordinary. Modern parallels deepen the intrigue. In 2025, a leaked video on X purportedly showed a glowing orb above Area 51, matching descriptions in the Book of Enoch of fiery angelic vehicles. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's use of gold in spacecraft, mirroring the Anunnaki's quest for the metal, hints at a continuity of purpose. Could Area 51 be decoding ancient technologies, like those of Thoth's celestial ship or the Watcher's forbidden tools? The secrecy surrounding the base, with restricted access enforced by the 1984 Groom Lake Agreement, fuels speculation of a global effort to conceal humanity's cosmic origins. As we peer into Area 51's shadows, the questions multiply. Are the crafts tested there relics of the Anunnaki or Watchers? Do underground vaults hold the bones of giants or artifacts from lost civilizations? Why is the truth so fiercely guarded? What if the technological marvels of our modern world, electricity, wireless communication, even space exploration, trace their roots to ancient knowledge bestowed by celestial beings? What if Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, tapped into secrets that echo the wisdom of the Anunnaki or the teachings of Thoth? Imagine a future where the return of a distant planet, Nibiru, could reignite humanity's connection to its cosmic origins, unveiling truths hidden for millennia. The stories of ancient texts, from Sumerian tablets to the Book of Enoch, resonate with today's scientific advancements, raising questions that bridge past and future. Are we rediscovering the technologies of gods or aliens? And what does this mean for humanity's destiny? Nikola Tesla, born in 1856 and passing in 1943, stands as a towering figure in modern science, credited with inventing alternating current electricity, radio, and foundational concepts for wireless energy. His famous quote, recorded in a 1926 interview, captures his philosophy. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This statement, often cited in metaphysical circles, resonates eerily with ancient descriptions of cosmic forces. The Sumerian tablets, unearthed in the 19th century, describe the Anunnaki's use of the Me tablets of destiny that controlled energy and cosmic order. The Book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, details the Watchers teaching humanity the mysteries of energy, including metallurgy and celestial mechanics. Could Tesla have unknowingly channeled this ancient knowledge, bridging the gap between myth and science? Tesla's experiments with high-frequency electricity and wireless power transmission mirror the advanced technologies attributed to ancient visitors. In 1901, he began constructing the Wardenclyffe Tower in New York, designed to transmit energy wirelessly across the globe. Tesla claimed the tower could harness Earth's natural frequencies, a concept akin to the Sumerian idea of manipulating cosmic vibrations. Ancient texts, like the Egyptian Edfu temple inscriptions from 237 to 57 years before Christ, describe Thoth's use of a Sahim staff to observe stars and control unseen forces. Some theorists, including Erich von Däniken in his 1970 book Chariots of the Gods, speculate that such tools were advanced devices, possibly electromagnetic, shared by extraterrestrial beings. Tesla's lost journals, rumored to be held in classified archives, are said to contain references to cosmic energy sources, fueling claims on X in 2025 that he accessed ancient knowledge, perhaps through intuitive or even telepathic means. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's use of gold in spacecraft offers another striking parallel. Sumerian tablets, as interpreted by Zecharia Sitchin in his 1976 book The 12th Planet, claim the Anunnaki mined gold to repair Nibiru's atmosphere, using its reflective properties to shield against cosmic radiation. Modern science confirms gold's utility. The James Webb Space Telescope, launched in 2021, uses gold-coated mirrors for infrared observation, while spacecraft employ gold foil for radiation protection. In 2024, a study in Nature Nanotechnology highlighted gold nanoparticles' role in atmospheric repair, echoing the Anunnaki's alleged purpose. Could our space technology be retracing steps laid down by ancient visitors, preserved in myths and rediscovered through scientific progress? The crystal skulls, 13 carved quartz objects found across Mesoamerica since the 19th century, deepen this connection. Legends, particularly among the Maya, claim these skulls hold ancient knowledge, activated by specific frequencies. In 2008, a Smithsonian study using electron microscopy revealed modern tool marks on some skulls, suggesting 19th century origins, but others, like the Mitchell-Hedges skull found in 1924, defy explanation with their precision. Proponents, including Max the Crystal Skull's caretaker Joanne Parks, interviewed in 2025 on X, argue they encode cosmic data, possibly from the Anunnaki or Thoth. The skull's alleged ability to emit light or sound under certain conditions recalls Tesla's experiments with resonant frequencies, suggesting a link between ancient artifacts and modern energy science. The possibility of Nibiru's return adds a futuristic dimension. Sumerian texts describe Nibiru's 3,600-year orbit, with its last passage potentially linked to the Great Flood around 10,000 years before Christ. Sitchin's calculations, debated by astronomers, suggest a return around 2,600 years after Christ, but conspiracy theorists on X in 2025 claim it's imminent, citing increased unidentified aerial phenomena sightings. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office reported 180 new cases in 2024, with some near Area 51, fueling speculation of Anunnaki reconnaissance. A fictional film, The Anunnaki Return, slated for release in 2026, has amplified online buzz, blending myth with modern fears of extraterrestrial contact. Tesla's own fascination with extraterrestrial communication strengthens this narrative. In 1899, while experimenting in Colorado Springs, he reported receiving radio signals he believed were from Mars or another cosmic source, as documented in his 1901 article in Collier's Weekly. Modern SETI researchers, like Seth Shostak in a 2024 interview, dismiss these as natural radio emissions, but Tesla's claims align with ancient accounts of celestial communication. The Dogon tribe's knowledge of Sirius B, detailed in Robert Temple's 1976 book, The Sirius Mystery, suggests ancient contact with star beings, possibly the Anunnaki or Nommo. Could Tesla's signals have been echoes of such contact, intercepted by his sensitive equipment? Modern genetic research adds intrigue. A 2024 study in Science Advances identified anomalies in human DNA, including rapid mutations in the FOXP2 gene for language, dated to around 200,000 years before Christ. Some theorists, like geneticist Robert Carter, propose these could be artificial insertions, aligning with Sumerian claims of Anunnaki genetic engineering. The Human Genome Project, completed in 2003, revealed non-coding DNA sequences dubbed junk DNA, which some speculate encode alien instructions. In 2025, X posts linked these findings to Area 51, alleging that classified labs study ancient DNA to unlock extraterrestrial technology, though no evidence supports this. The Tartaria conspiracy, popular online, connects ancient and modern secrets. Proponents argue that a global empire of giants, erased by a 19th century mud flood, used advanced technology now studied at Area 51. Buried neoclassical buildings, like those in Chicago, are cited as evidence, though geologists attribute them to sedimentation. This theory, while speculative, reflects a broader distrust in official narratives, mirroring ancient texts' exclusion, like the Book of Enoch, from the biblical canon. The Vatican's rumored archives, said to hold Thoth's writings, are another focal point, with ex-users in 2025 claiming they contain blueprints for ancient machines, possibly studied in secret facilities. Skeptics counter that Tesla's inventions were purely human, rooted in mathematical genius, not alien inspiration. The crystal skulls are likely modern forgeries, per the Smithsonian's analysis, and Nibiru lacks astronomical evidence, with NASA's Kepler mission finding no trace of a rogue planet. Area 51's secrecy per a 2022 Air Force report, is tied to military projects like hypersonic drones, not extraterrestrial crafts. Yet, the persistence of these ideas, amplified by declassified files and whistleblower accounts, challenges dismissal. The Antikythera mechanism, a 2nd century before Christ device with gear precision, suggests ancient technology beyond human capability, possibly linked to Thoth or the Watchers. As we stand at the crossroads of past and future, Tesla's legacy and the spectre of Nibiru's return invite profound questions. Are our technological leaps rediscoveries of ancient wisdom? Do classified labs hold the keys to our cosmic origins? Will extraterrestrial visitors return to reshape our destiny? In our final chapter, we reflect on these mysteries, calling you to keep an open mind as we unravel humanity's hidden history. Join us as the echoes of the past resonate with the promise of the future. What if the history we have been taught is but a shadow of the truth? A carefully curated tale that conceals humanity's cosmic origins. What if the stories of the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, and the Great Flood are not mere myths but fragments of a forgotten reality, preserved in ancient texts and whispered through the ages? As we stand at the crossroads of past and future, the questions linger. Who were the true architects of our civilization, and why have their traces been buried? From the Sumerian tablets to the icy depths of Antarctica, from Tesla's visionary inventions to the guarded secrets of Area 51, we have journeyed through a tapestry of mysteries that challenge everything we know. Let these questions guide you as you drift into the realm of dreams, where the truths of the past may yet reveal themselves. Our journey began with the provocative idea that history has been shaped by those in power who decide what is remembered and what is forgotten. The Sumerian tablets, etched over 5,000 years ago, speak of the Anunnaki, celestial beings from Nibiru who engineered humanity to mine gold, their legacy etched in the sudden rise of civilization. The Book of Enoch, rediscovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, tells of the Watchers and their giant offspring, the Nephilim, whose bones may lie hidden in classified vaults. The Great Flood, recounted in myths from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, suggests a global cataclysm, possibly triggered by cosmic forces or divine wrath. The 7 sages, led by Thoth, rebuilt the world, their knowledge preserved in megalithic structures like Göbekli Tepe and Baalbek. Antarctica's frozen secrets, mapped by the Piri Reis map in 1513, hint at a lost civilization, while Area 51 guards technologies that may echo ancient crafts. Nikola Tesla's insights into energy and frequency connect modern science to these ancient mysteries, suggesting a continuity of knowledge that spans millennia. Each of these threads weaves a narrative that challenges the conventional story of human evolution. The sudden leap from hunter-gatherers to builders of cities, around 10,000 years before Christ, defies the slow march of progress taught in schools. Genetic anomalies, like the rapid mutation of the FOXP2 gene for language, documented in a 2024 Science Advances study, hint at external intervention, perhaps by the Anunnaki or Watchers. Artifacts like the Saqqara bird, a 3rd century before Christ Egyptian glider, and the Antikythera mechanism, a 2nd century before Christ astronomical device, suggest technologies far beyond their time. The crystal skulls, revered by the Maya, and the Nazca lines, visible only from the air, evoke a cosmic connection, possibly to extraterrestrial visitors. Why do these anomalies persist, and why are they so often dismissed or concealed? The answer may lie in a concerted effort to control the narrative. The exclusion of the Book of Enoch from the biblical canon, despite its influence on early Christians, mirrors the disappearance of giant bones reported in 19th century newspapers. The Grand Canyon Caves, described in a 1909 Phoenix Gazette article, allegedly held Egyptian-style artifacts and 9-foot mummies, yet remain off-limits. The Tartaria conspiracy, gaining traction on X in 2025, posits a global empire erased by a mud flood, its megalithic architecture misattributed to later eras. Antarctica's restricted zones, enforced by the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, and Area 50, one's secrecy, guarded by lethal force, suggest a deliberate suppression of truths that could upend our understanding of history. Even Tesla's lost journals, rumored to be held in classified archives, are said to contain references to cosmic energy, echoing the Anunnaki's tablets of destiny. These patterns of censorship raise a profound question: who benefits from hiding our past? Some point to powerful institutions, like the Smithsonian or the Vatican, accused of sequestering artifacts to maintain a narrative of human progress untainted by divine or extraterrestrial intervention. Others, like conspiracy theorists on X, implicate global elites, such as the Rothschild family, whose influence is said to trace back to ancient bloodlines enhanced by alien DNA. While such claims lack verifiable evidence, they reflect a growing distrust in official accounts, amplified by declassified documents and whistleblower testimonies. The 2022 Pentagon report on unidentified aerial phenomena, documenting 180 cases, and the leaked 2025 X video of an orb above Area 51 fuel speculation that we are on the cusp of a cosmic revelation. The future holds even greater questions. If Nibiru, with its 3,600-year orbit, approaches Earth again, as Zecharia Sitchin predicted for around 2,600 years after Christ, will the Anunnaki return? Posts on X in 2025 speculate that recent unidentified flying object sightings signal their reconnaissance, a theme explored in the fictional 2026 film The Anunnaki Return. The Dogon tribe's knowledge of Sirius B, detailed in Robert Temple's 1976 book The Sirius Mystery, suggests ancient contact that may resume. Tesla's experiments with radio signals in 1899, which he believed were from Mars, align with modern SETI efforts, like those reported in a 2024 astronomy journal, seeking extraterrestrial intelligence. Could we be rediscovering the technologies of our creators, encoded in ancient texts and artifacts? The Bermuda Triangle, a region in the Atlantic where ships and planes have vanished since the 19th century, offers a final mystery. Some theorists, like Charles Berlitz in his 1974 book The Bermuda Triangle, link its anomalies to Atlantean technology or alien bases, possibly connected to the underwater structures off Bimini, dated to 10,000 years before Christ. In 2025, X posts claimed that electromagnetic disturbances in the triangle mirror Tesla's frequency experiments, suggesting a lingering legacy of ancient knowledge. While mainstream science attributes these disappearances to natural phenomena like rogue waves, the triangle's enigmas echo the cosmic connections of our journey. As we reflect on these mysteries, we are left with more questions than answers. Were the Anunnaki, watchers, and sages extraterrestrial architects of our civilization? Do the megaliths, maps, and artifacts hold clues to a cosmic past? Why have these truths been buried, and what awaits us as we probe deeper? The answers lie not in textbooks, but in the shadows of history, in the whispers of ancient scribes and the dreams of modern seekers. Keep your mind open, for the truth may be closer than we think, hidden in plain sight or waiting in the stars. I am Mr. H, your guide through the enigma of our past, and this is Mystery History for Sleep. If these mysteries have stirred your curiosity, consider subscribing to our channel and ringing the notification bell to join us for more journeys into the unknown. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in a hidden history, or are these tales mere myth? As you drift into sleep, let these questions linger, carrying you to dreams where the secrets of humanity's origins unfold. Join us next time as we continue to explore the mysteries that shape our world, from the ancient past to the cosmic future. Sleep well, and may the truths of the universe guide your dreams.